Madam President, in January of this year, I convened the first of what would become quarterly forums for key stakeholders to engage in open discussions regarding the economy. This forum would become known as the Economic Roundtable. The purpose, Madam President, was to engage key stakeholders and to hear the views of industry on ways to stimulate economic activity and sustain jobs, the idea being that collaboration is key to navigating successful outcomes for Bermuda. Madam President, the second quarterly meeting was held in May. The organizations that participate in the Economic Roundtable include the Chamber of Commerce, the Construction Association of Bermuda, the Association of Bermuda International Companies, the Bermuda Employers Council, the Association of Bermuda Insurers and Reassurers, the Hotel Employers of Bermuda, and the Bermuda Hotel Association, as well as Business Bermuda. Madam President, these industry partners share the common view that any form of job creation or stimulus for the Bermuda economy requires foreign currency and therefore the help of outside investors. They have opined that international business and tourism are the island's only sources of foreign currency, and as international business is the primary growth engine, we must focus on ways to keep the international business that is currently here and attract new international business to the island. Their view is that this means creating certainty for international business and adopting user-friendly policies and procedures with respect to immigration. Further, they've stated that we must work at changing the view of international business from being guests to being long-term partners in Bermuda's growth, and that we must work together to improve the Bermuda brand and communicate our willingness to compete for new businesses. Madam President, the group holds the view that term limits on certain job categories serve as a barrier to enter for new businesses and represents a hassle for those that are already here. Notwithstanding this view, Madam President, it should be noted that work permit term limits do not apply where the individual is key to the business. As a result of ongoing discussions and collaboration with industry partners on economic issues, the government has identified certain measures geared towards promoting the fact that Bermuda isn't open for business. You will know by now, Madam President, that the first of these measures involves providing incentives to job makers. To this end, amendments to the Economic Development Act of 1968 and the Bermuda Immigration and Protection Act of 1956 have been proposed. Rest assured, Madam President, that such initiatives are linked directly to employment benefits for Bermudians. Madam President, the incentives include a package of concessions that will be available to qualifying companies to include A, work permit waivers for business owners, chief executive officers, or other senior executives up to a maximum of 5 in each company. This will be complemented by an eligibility to apply for permanent residence certificate status after a 10-year period. 2, automatic exemption of term limits and 10-year work permits for persons with executive responsibility. 3, eligibility for exemption from term limits for specific job categories. Now, Madam President, during the latest round of discussions at the May meeting of the Economic Roundtable, related proposals were applauded by industry as a step in the right direction. Madam President, it is our collective belief that by making it easier to do business in Bermuda, we will make Bermuda more attractive as an international business jurisdiction. The more attractive Bermuda becomes, the more successful we will be in growing the number of international businesses and therefore creating new jobs for Bermudians and creating more work for local companies. Madam President, we recognize that with each new international business that establishes a physical presence here, there will likely be new expatriate workers to take up some of the jobs. However, the jobs held by expatriate workers create jobs for Bermudians. We continue to make great strides in preparing more and more Bermudians to take up jobs in the knowledge-based categories of the workforce. However, in order to maintain and grow our economy, we recognize that we will continue to be reliant on a healthy mix of Bermudians and non-Bermudians. Guest workers are vital to the success and survival of Bermuda's economy. Madam President, to ensure that Bermudians are not left behind, companies that qualify for the package of concessions that I've spoken about today will be required to demonstrate that Bermudians are represented at all levels within their organization, as well as to provide entry-level positions to young Bermudians. Madam President, this means that qualifying companies will have programs in place for developing and promoting Bermudians. Clearly, Madam President, this is a proposal that benefits the Bermuda economy as well as the Bermudian workforce. It is but one measure that is a part of the overall plan to stimulate the Bermuda economy. Thank you.